In the astrology of December 20th, we start our energy today off with a very powerful transit, Venus in a bisectile with Saturn. Venus being in Scorpio, Saturn being in Pisces. So we have a bisectile happening between these two water signs, and it is incredibly powerful today. And what it's essentially dispelling is many of the illusions of what we've been conditioned to see. And so this is a very important energy right now. You may have, for example, in a familial sense or a societal sense, been trained, for lack of a better word, to have a certain response to something. Maybe it's as simple as, your partner talks to someone of the opposite sex and you feel immediate jealousy. And while, of course, this feels as though it's your thought, this might actually be a thought or a feeling that you've been conditioned through what you've seen throughout your life. As well as, of course, more on a societal level, perhaps you feel a great deal of shame about something that actually doesn't really make sense to feel shame about, but you realize this is because society around you has repeated that you should feel ashamed of yourself so many times that it feels very real and it feels like it's actually your idea while you're having it. So this is a very important day where something is going to be revealed, and whether or not it's dispelled is up to you. So for Aries, for example, Aries today, this is happening in your 8th house, and so there might be some shame or false responsibility around religion and spirituality, something that you feel you're supposed to do, or something that is a very taboo that you are not supposed to do. And so today is going to reveal that a little bit to you. For Taurus, this is a little bit different. This is happening in your 7th house. And so this energy definitely is going to be about false responsibilities in relationships. Perhaps you feel as though you and your partner both need to be equal in how much you're working to provide for each other, which isn't a bad thing, but you also feel as though you also have all these other responsibilities that your partner doesn't have. And so you have this bizarre situation where, unlike a lot of people in the modern age, who kind of have this very interesting sort of pick and choose energy around traditional or modern relationships and what parts they like and whatever, you almost have the opposite of one, which is too stacked against yourself, where you feel as though you have to take on way more responsibilities than is actually responsible, way more responsibilities than you as a mortal person can possibly handle. And then, of course, there's Gemini. This is happening in your 6th. And so for Gemini, this is, it's not an easy energy to work through necessarily, but this is about kind of dismantling the little patterns and rituals that are embedded into each and every day that you're experiencing, whether this be an addiction, whether it be something that is maybe just not too healthy, as far as your sleep schedule, as far as your workout routine or your diet. Something is being addressed, and what you are actually responsible to do is being sort of separated from what you think you're responsible to do. And then, of course, we have Cancer, who in your solar 5th house, this is happening with romance, passion, and creativity. So perhaps you have some false responsibilities that your creative expression is something you get to do after you have X amount of money, or that it's something that you get to enjoy and experience once you've, basically reached a certain age, once you've retired, that your inner creativity and your inner fire, your inner spark is something that you have to put on the back burner until you're like 60 or 70. And so today's an important day that some of these things are going to be addressed and revealed. And then, of course, you have Leo. And so this is, happening in your solar 4th. And with this energy with you guys, this is about false responsibilities of the family. Leo is going to be one of the main people who experience this intensity of the energy today, because perhaps your family says, oh, you're supposed to look after all of us, or, oh, you're supposed to do this because of your gender, because of your age, and none of us are supposed to be a part of that. Basically, it's like there are certain roles that they have decided you are going to be in, and so there's going to be an evaluation about whether or not you actually believe that it's your responsibility to be in this role. And then for Virgo, this is false responsibilities about what you are not supposed to say. So basically, Virgo, you have to quiet your mouth. You can't say these particular things in the family. You can't bring up about, this situation that happened with a divorce or a parental figure cheating or some bizarre situation like that. So it's going to reveal and remove some of these things where you're saying, well, I've been told this my whole life, but this isn't actually something I believe. This wasn't even my own thought. I never even considered this myself, or I don't even actually believe it. And so as that's happening, Libra, this is happening in your second house. This is going to be about false financial responsibilities, ways in which you were supposed to provide for certain people, the way you're supposed to or not supposed to provide for yourself, the way in which you might feel a responsibility to make a certain amount of money, so much so that you let all these other parts of your life fall to the wayside, including your familial connections, including your friendships, including your relationships. And so a lot of these things are being revealed today so that we can address them, we can decide to dispel some of them, and that we can decide to keep on moving past them. And then of course, Scorpio, this is the false responsibility about you not being who you actually are. This is about you feeling as though who you really are is a problem in some way. You need to be more normal. You can't act in the way that you naturally want to act. You can't behave that way. And you are supposed to act the way that your parental figures, the way that society says you ought to act. So this is a big thing to address today. Now for Sagittarius, this happens in your 12th house. So there might be, part of your family that has for a long time told you, we had a death in the family, and you just got to move past it. You just got to keep on moving with life. You can't, don't cry all the time. Don't do this. Or perhaps that you are supposed to be mourning and you are supposed to continue mourning for years and years and years. That they want you to stay in a state of mourning about something and continue to stay in a cycle of negativity. So it's really interesting. It'll be one of the two extremes, and oftentimes whether it involves literal death or whether it involves loss of some kind, you might see members of your family or your relationship basically saying we're supposed to stay fixated on this sadness, or you're supposed to just move right past it and never address it, never have your feelings, never cry about it. Whatever it's going to be very extreme. And then of course Capricorn, this is happening in your 11th, and so for Capricorn, this is the false responsibilities of friendship. This can be as crazy as who pays the tab for your friends as you all go out to eat. This can be as more serious about what the responsibilities of friendship are. Do you really have to plan every party that's happening with all of your friends? Do you feel excluded from certain events but included in all the ones that you have responsibilities for? Is there something unfair happening in your friendship circles and your general social networks? It's important to address that. And then of course you have Aquarius, and so this is happening in your 10th. So for Aquarius, this is like, do I really have to shoot for the moon? Do I really have to become like a billionaire? Do I really have to be a leader of all these different people? Can't I just be me? Can't I work behind the scenes and just do my own thing and do what I feel in love with? And isn't that okay? And so you might be experiencing the false trajectory, the false responsibility given to you by your parents or society that you have to go and be this world-renowned person when all you want to be is just yourself, and you just want to enjoy, life in your own way. You want a simple, small life, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then of course Pisces. For Pisces, this is happening in your 9th, and so this energy is about the false responsibilities about what you're supposed to believe in. And this one can be as simple as just you're supposed to be Christian, Catholic, Jewish, Hindu, whatever you're told you're supposed to be. It can be that, but a lot of times this is about, the way in which you're supposed to move in accordance with the family. The generations of your family have always done things this way. This is like the familial tradition, and you're going to go ahead and keep that chain going. But you might feel like this goes directly against what it is you actually believe. You might not respect that tradition. In fact, you might despise that tradition. And so you might be upending something that several generations of your family have upheld for a long time. You might feel like you want to relinquish the responsibility of carrying on that legacy and instead to take on the responsibility of starting your own. So it's some big decisions to make. This is very intense energy, and it's such a small, innocuous little transit, but it's beautiful and very disruptive at the same time. So anyways, thank you guys for tuning in today. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.